Hello and welcome to the Dominion Daily for January 10th, 2026. We have a full random kingdom today. It is Saturday. And we've got Sentinel for trashing an investment. There is no draw. That's unfortunate. Plus actions, Crown and Gondola. So not a lot of that either. And then gains and buys. Wine Merchant is plus buy. Jester can gain cards that you reveal from your opponent's deck, and that's it. So I suppose the goal here is to play a bunch of groundskeepers, including potentially crowning them, and then buy some victory cards. Even though there's not any draw, if you can get thin enough, you can get something done there. In theory, investment can score a pretty good amount as well with a couple of additional kingdom treasures, but I don't really see the lack of draw definitely affects that. So probably looking to play with like a couple of wine merchants. I guess one advantage of getting an investment at some point is that you can have your Sentinel, and then you can use the Sentinel to trash, and then you can trash the Sentinel with the investment, and then you can trash the investment, and then you don't have any of the relevant stop cards in your deck. I'm not sure how important that is. Like, there is Alley and Innkeeper to do sifting, also Haven. So like for any given turn, you don't necessarily need to specifically draw through those cards to find your groundskeepers. Beyond that, yeah, I think like you probably want to play with a couple of wine merchants just so you have some plus buy. In particular, if you can play like a whole bunch of groundskeepers, you might want to buy multiple estates or something. But otherwise, yeah, mostly the groundskeepers. Despite what I said about investment, I'm wondering about opening with Alley and Sentinel. Alley can be played as Way of the Mule, which is basically a peddler, since it's not coming out of your hand, and that's pretty good. In fact, arguably, you want as many alleys as possible for that reason. But also, like the actual sifting could be useful as well. Like if you get a whole bunch of alleys, obviously you're not going to play most of them that way, but in the early going, using that to set up Sentinel seems pretty reasonable. So I think I'm going to go with that. Bot goes with investment. All right, so here I am inclined to, well, okay. I'm just going to take another alley. I got to trash 2 estates. I did not. Also, I just realized I triggered a shuffle where the alleys are actually in the shuffle. Oh, no, wait, no. We're not discarding these 3 coppers. We're top decking them. Although we're still going to have 1 down there. Ugh. Do we want... Do we want a silver? I think we shouldn't need a silver. Should be able to hit 5 without it. I'll take a Haven. Okay, so I think the way that I want to do this is use this alley. Okay, well, I was gonna say maybe this one I'd mule, but we have a chance to trash that estate if we play this one normally. On the other hand, we can hit 4 again if we don't. Yeah, I might actually care more about that. Okay, so we can hit 5 here without needing to play a bunch of the alleys as mule. Although I guess it depends also on whether we want to haven something or mule the haven. Play at least one alley normally. Okay. Well, now mule an alley, mule an alley. If we play the haven, I guess there's a risk that we draw our estate. But I guess we could always discard it with alley next turn. Maybe that's not so bad. And getting the extra card for next turn could be pretty nice. Yeah. Alright, wine merchant time. Yeah, I think we're not gonna play the Sentinel for trashing this turn anyway. Mule and alley, mule and alley, mule and alley, mule the Sentinel, play the wine merchant. Okay, we definitely need a crown. We could just go crown alley to discard the wine merchant. And then plan to crown an alley so that we can play both Sentinel and Wine Merchant. It is going to be difficult to trash this estate. So the other thing we could do is get the investment. Continue the thinning process. I think I like that. All right. Now the question is, do we play one of the alleys normally to try to find the crown? I'm not sure. If we don't, then we'll have 3, 7, 8, 9, 10 coins. That's not great, actually. Really want to be hitting at least 11 as we did last turn. Okay. Now, I don't think there's any reason to continue on. Okay. Gonna want another crown. I could take another wine merchant. I think that's reasonable. Hmm. Do we want to cycle with any of these alleys? We could just crown the wine merchant. Play all these. So if we do that, we won't do any trashing. I mean, I guess we could play the Haven first. Maybe we just do that. Okay. Now we can get a bit of trashing in. I think that's fine. All right. So ultimately here, stop card wise, the plan is to play with at least the 2 wine merchants. If we're crowning wine merchants, then the crowns themselves are stop cards as well, but they don't have to be stop cards. But I think like planning for that as like ultimately the stop cards makes sense. I mean, there's some merit to get, like having Jester as well. We could consider that. Like we could go Crown Jester, 1 Jester, and then we start taking groundskeepers. I mean, there is something to be said like against having too many wine merchants. But if we can use it to generate more crowns or ultimately more groundskeepers, I mean, not that the bot has any of those yet, but you know, and junking the bot obviously wouldn't be bad either. I think the fact that the bot doesn't have any groundskeepers yet pushes me in the direction of just going crown groundskeeper, and then we can pick up the Jester later if that seems like a relevant thing to do. Okay, so now they do have a groundskeeper. One of these crowns could be played on an alley. I guess, I mean, I'd rather play it on the groundskeeper or the other wine merchant. I'm going to start with 1 alley normally. Okay. Now there's no reason... Well, there is a slight reason not to crown an alley. Okay, we'll play another one like this. Oh, man. This is really annoying. So we have alley, groundskeeper, wine merchant down there. If we... We could Sentinel trash these 2 coppers here. Discard the investment. Or sorry, discard the copper. Like we will have the actions for it. But yeah, what's annoying is that like I really want to see the groundskeeper or the wine merchant, and I mean I guess we can play alley and know we're going to see one of them, but like we're reduced. Well, I guess it's just cycling. Never mind. No, I guess it's fine. Okay. Okay, no groundskeeper. Crown. Wine merchant. Wine merchant. Sentinel, trashing the 2 coppers. And plays away. Okay. So we could go like Crown Jester, Groundskeeper. I do think the Jester has some potential here. This right here is basically like the more or less the maximum output of the deck. The reason it's not absolutely the maximum is because, and this is the reason it's annoying to have to play the allies that way, even though it doesn't like hurt, but except that we could have had more coins from having the allies and like play as mules. But anyway, there's an argument, right, that it's not worth it. It's like we can't do it like functionally better than this, and the Jester is just going to compete with the wine merchants. It gives us a gain vector that we don't otherwise have. The cost of like 4 coins minus the marginal like 2 coins that we end up spending to discard the wine merchants. It's a little complicated, but I think it's worth it. I'm not at all sure, but it could also be correct to go double groundskeeper rather than crown groundskeeper. A little unclear there. Taking more allies also wouldn't be bad because, again, it gives us more money, but not the most important thing. I think I'm going to take one more groundskeeper. Okay. So ideally, this turn we investment trash the Sentinel, and then the investment trashes itself. We're done with all of that. We've also got this Haven, which honestly I don't love. The other thing we can do is just use allies to cycle out these cards and whatever. But I think I'll just go ahead and crown a groundskeeper. Crowning the crowns is not especially important for this purpose. Alright, I guess we can just play this one normally. Okay, here we definitely want to find some crowns. Alright. That's one. So I'm just going to discard the investment. There's another one. I think Thinking Mule, the Alley. And then if we do this, we'd end up with 19 coins. If we instead crown the Jester, we lose 4 from not crowning the Wine Merchant. We gain 2, so we end up at 17. I think that's better. Because getting to 19 doesn't really do anything, given that we want to discard the Wine Merchants anyway. Yeah, okay. Gaining another Wine Merchant I think is fine. In fact, we can just not discard all of them. I think I'm actually going to just empty the Groundskeepers here. It does, like, this puts a cap on how much value the bot can get from Groundskeeper. Like, even with crowns, you still have to have the Groundskeepers. Alright, piles are getting low. There's a world where we could just end the game this turn if with the right Jester hits. Probably worth just playing Groundskeepers uncrowned to start with, because I don't think we're going to care about the additional points that we would get from crowning them, mostly. We have the 3 crowns, and yeah, I don't know. I think that's... Like, if we could crown Wine Merchant Jester, is that even possible, though? Maybe it's not. Yeah, I guess it's probably not, right? Because you need to have 3 crowns, a Jester, and 2 Wine Merchants in hand. So I probably shouldn't worry about that. Okay. If we wanted to, we could just Mule and investment trash the Sentinel. But I think lining up our stuff is better. That last card is a crown. Yeah, I think I'd rather just discard the Haven. Now this time, we haven't played an Alley as Mule. So if we do this, we're going to have 1 pure coin. I think that's okay, though, because I'd be willing to buy another Alley. We should probably buy at least 1 victory card. Crown Alley. That's a little awkward, though. We buy Duchy or Estate, the number of coins we're left with doesn't facilitate another gain. Maybe I should have crowned the Wine Merchant. Having those 2 extra coins would mean we had 9 right now, and then we could go like Crown or Alley in an estate. I mean, we could still go Alley estate, I guess. We just waste a coin, but I guess that's not such a big deal. Yeah. Oh no, wait, no, right. No, we can't do that. Never mind. We could also take a duchy. The extra points from the duchy over the state are pretty inconsequential, though. Could also be correct to do crown, estate. Yeah, let's do that. Again, I think I'm just going to discard the 2 wine merchants. I mean, yeah, I think so. Wine merchant and a crown. Okay, again, here, we really would be reasonably likely to be able to just win. I think we can just commit up front to allying these cards out of the way, because we're not going to want at least this. Well, yeah, no, they're both going to reduce hand size, so let's just that. Go ahead and Crownskeeper. Oh, we've already got all the good stuff. Okay. Surely we just have a win off of this. $16, so 15. Oh, this is 20. And we only get to 19, so we actually don't. Okay, hold on. So we need to crown the Jester and see what we get out of that. Aha! Now we can do that. Yeah, that, for not having any draw, that was a remarkably powerful kingdom. I do wish I'd, like... Guess the sifting and alley was too useful not to use. I wish I'd been able to get more alleys and mule them more. Like, it was a fun way to have some peddlers, but just, you know, trying to line up the crowns and the terminals is too valuable to pass up. I mean, I guess maybe there was, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't have taken that that Haven. That would have reduced the number of cards that I ended up cycling. I mean, at some point maybe it would have been correct to Haven a card and boost the next turn, but I don't know. It didn't ever feel like the right move along the way. So yeah, it might have just been a mistake. I'm not unhappy with the investment, but it felt like a big sacrifice to play the investment just to trash the Sentinel when I could just like sift past it and line all my stuff up. So yeah, I guess the only other thing would have been to just, you know, hit numbers where the thing is, like, these are all well, I was gonna say, like, the actually, now that I think about it, it is surprising that we didn't end up. Oh no, it's not. Yeah, okay. I know what I want to say here. That the amount of money that we were making from like Jester plus Wine Merchant is always going to be in even numbers, because the Jester and the Wine Merchant each make an even number of coins. So if we don't play any allies as Mule, then like if we're taking like if we end up taking an even number of fives, although I guess we were hitting 17. That was when we had hit Mule 1 alley, and then I don't know. No, you know what? Never mind. I'm struggling to make sense of how, like, it seems like it should have been the case that some of the time would have a number of coins left such that buying an alley would have made sense. Like, it's like, oh, I need to discard a Wine Merchant, but I don't quite have enough for another 5. That just like didn't really happen. But I guess the reason was because by the time it would have happened, when I had these even number of coins in late game and I had like 16 instead of 17, I was ready to buy some green. So I think that's the reason. Anyway, I mean, Peddler for 4, isn't like the greatest deal in the world anyway. But the flexibility of the alley is nice, and it was just like something I wanted to do. But I think it did make sense the way that it played out. Anyway, well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.